Hello everybody, what's going on? I'm Fish Food and welcome to Old School RuneScape and specifically a Trailblazer guide for DKs if you don't have access to any healing such as Guthans or Ancients. Now me personally, I am not choosing the Desert and I don't think I'm choosing Mauritania. So the problem arises with the DKs on how do you get around the fact that they smack you around really good, and how do you get around the healing aspect? Well, I'm going to break down the gear that I think is going to be the best bet for you, should you choose to go with it. So we'll start with the face guard. The face guard is going to be the best in slot for melee, and it also has pretty decent bonuses. For example, you get defensive bonuses all around. It gives you a melee strength of 6, which is good, plus a +3 prayer bonus. Mostly what we want here is defense. Now, second, we're going to want our Fire Cape for the melee phase. Obviously, everybody knows that Fire Cape gives you a lot of defense and some prayer, and a +1 to all your attack bonuses, which we'll be using for magic, but we're not going to be using for range. We're going to use the best Ava's of Ice we have. If you have Fremmenik, you should be able to get the Assembler without having to have Mauritania. If you have Mauritania, obviously you're probably going to want to go with Guthans as well as an Assembler, but we're going to pretend like you don't have any of that sort of stuff. We're going to pretend like Fremmenik is the only main unlock you have, for the most part. Okay. I'm also going to unlock Kandarin, so that'll also give me a Tentacle Whip. The Tentacle Whip is probably going to be what I go with. A regular Abyssal Whip probably will work. Haven't tested it, but it should probably work. Gives me a pretty good slash bonus and a good melee strength. For the range, this one's kind of a struggle. If you don't have a blowpipe, if you're not choosing to go Tyrannwyn, the Brune Crossbow or the Dragon Crossbow will probably be your best bet. I think Diamond Bolts E are probably going to be good, but Onyx Bolts, if you can get a hold of them and you can enchant them, they do have the Light Leak effect. It's not super reliable, so don't really rely on it too much, but that would be my best bet for that. Alright, let's move on to the necklace. The necklace you're going to want to go with is probably going to be a Fury. If you can't get a hold of a Fury just yet, get a Glory. Glory will be just as good. An Anguish is probably going to be your best bet if you can afford to upgrade it. If you've got Zenites, because you unlocked Kandarin, definitely go with a Anguish over a Fury, or bring both. For top, I'm going to bring the best range top I've got. If you have Armadillo, great. Obviously, we're pretending like we don't, so you're going to have to hope you get lucky on clues. They all give the same bonuses. I like the +1 prayer bonus for it. Mostly we want range defense. That's what the Spinelips are going to go off of when they damage you. In the shield slot, I'm going to choose the Abi shield. Since everybody gets Karamja, should be able to get it pretty cheap. I think it's only going to cost about 60k total, not 100%. Now, it's going to give you a negative ranged attack, but we're going to get around that by using the Book of Law, which will give you a +10 range, plus it'll give you prayer. I wouldn't recommend not going with it because, as you can see, you have no defensive bonuses, and you have tons of defensive bonuses here, specifically 65 range. That's going to be pretty big. For your legs, if you got access to Mauritania, get some Guthans legs or Thorax, some sort of tanky legs. You could go with Obsidian, but I found that these are a little bit better with range strength as opposed to this. Even Rune would be better than Obsidian, I believe. In the glove slot, if you can get some Bandos Bracers, that would probably be better for your range strength. It gives you a range bonus of 11, and from what I experienced, Prime was the hardest thing to deal with. For your boots, you want God D'hide or Pegasians. I wouldn't recommend going with Rangers, because Rangers is going to give you a lower defense. It'll give you +1, so it might be worth it. That's just going to be a call that you're going to want to make yourself. And then for the ring, I would go with a Ring of Suffering, and obviously you want it imbued, and a recoil effect would be great too. For the Spinelips, it's not necessary. So the full setup is going to look a little bit like this. Okay, so as you can see, we have a slash attack bonus of 101 in melee phase, a range defense of 296, which is going to be really, really good if you happen to have to tank both Prime and Supreme. Your magic bonus is going to be really bad, so obviously you're going to want to be praying mage whenever you are fighting both of them. If, for some reason, you are low on health while you're fighting Prime, we do have a range bonus of 159, which isn't too bad. Range defense is a little bit lower because we took off the shield, but it's going to increase our attack by quite a bit. You can use the Onyx Bolts, which will actually give you a higher range strength, I believe. Let me double check. Range strength goes from 107 to 122, so if you wanted to just camp these, you could. They get really expensive, and I'm not really sure the best place to get Onyx Bolts other than Tazar. But those, again, have the life leech effect. And then for your magic setup, I would just go with Fire Cape. You could probably leave the Avas on, but because it doesn't really matter what you use with Rex, and Rex is pretty much safe spottable, and also you shouldn't have to worry about him too much once you get the room set up. So, the inventory, I'm going to go back to the bank and go grab an inventory of what I think you should probably bring with you if you're going to go on a DK's trip. Okay, so the inventory setup I'm going to go with, I'm going to bring 2 super combats and 2 range potions. You can probably get away with only 1 if you really want to, or none at all if you really, really want to, because you're going to get defense bonus from your brews. You're going to want to bring a lot of brews if you don't have access to healing. Now, if you have ancients, you only need to bring like 1 or 2 brews and use ancients for blood spells. If you don't have ancients, you want to probably bring enough runes for the Cure Me spell. That way you don't have to bring anti-poisons. If you're bringing ancients, obviously bring your anti-poisons. The only problem I have with the Cure Me spell is you have to constantly cast it, because constantly you're going to get poisoned. It doesn't give you immunity at all. I was able to get about 20 kills a trip, which is really, really bad. But considering that Leagues is all about experimentation, that's not too bad. Now, there is a good chance that some of the relics that are going to be included in the combat tiers are going to change all this. This is just kind of speculation in case you were thinking about taking Fremmenik, but you're not really sure how you want to do DKs. So I'm going to go run to the Fremmenik dungeon. I'm going to go to Waterbirth Island, and we're going to go do some DKs. Okay, so here in Waterbirth Island, I'm voicing over this because I had several clips I wanted to show. The hardest part is going to be getting a spawn you like. I got really lucky on like 3rd or 4th attempt, and as you can see, Supreme is in a really good spot in the first time down, but then Prime's in the wrong spot. You just got to keep going up and down. This is pretty standard DK stuff. If you're watching this video, you probably already know how to do DKs. Unfortunately, I need Supreme to get a little bit closer, and then he hits me. Of course, I took my prayer off. But it's all about manipulating the spawns. If you can get Rex by himself, you'll be in a pretty good spot. Just sitting here waiting. Alright, right here was almost perfect. Rex just needs to go a little bit farther over, and then I've got him in a good spot. I meant Supreme. So I'm going to take out Supreme here really close. Usually you want to take out Supreme or Rex first. You don't really want to start with Prime. Prime is usually going to be the worst, because if Prime's attacking you, more than likely one of the other 2 are. It's a lot easier to fight 2 of the kings at once as opposed to all 3. But as soon as I take down Supreme, I'm going to switch to my magic gear right now. And then I'm going to loop myself around. Don't forget to pick up your Dagganoth bones. Hopefully you have the Fremmenik diary done by the time you get there, but if not, it's still pretty good prayer XP that you can bank. You want to try to stay as far away from Prime as you can. And then as soon as you're in the clear, attack Rex and get him into the safe spot. And I like this safe spot here, especially if your kills are going to be really slow. With the gear that I have, it's probably not going to be very fast. So you want to kind of get Rex caught up on that little corner. And as soon as we take Rex out, that is going to be the perfect opportunity to switch to our range gear. Okay, so Rex is now down, so I'm going to grab my loot, quickly switch to my range gear, and it's important you want him to kind of be on that little hill, because you want as much space between you and Supreme as possible, or Prime as possible. And Prime's going to spawn in about 4 seconds, and I'm pretty sure in this clip I actually had to prayer flick. It is possible as long as you get them on the right tick. I might be wrong. But as you can see, I'm using my diamond bolts because it has a chance to hit through defense. If your prayer starts to hit, or your health starts to get a little low, switch to your onyx bolts if you've got them. If not, brew up. I didn't bring the same amount of supplies. Like I said, this is pre-recorded footage. But we're just going to keep on attacking Prime. And as you can see, I switch things around a little bit to make it a little easier. As soon as you get Supreme done, or Prime done, you want to go after Supreme, and I'm going to get really unlucky here, and Rex is going to be right after me. But fortunately, if you can see the animations on two different ticks, make sure as soon as you see the animation for one, switch to another, and you should take relatively no damage. That's one of the scary parts about doing DKs this way. It's a lot easier to flick these two as opposed to the other two, because you have pretty decent range defense. So if you happen to miss with Supreme, you shouldn't be too bad of a spot. It's just running into the other two is just going to be a problem. Well, hopefully this video has helped you make a decision on whether you want to choose Fremmenik or not. I personally think I still am, just because it was relatively doable. It's going to be a bigger pain in the butt, but we don't have to worry about stamina potions, so running there's not going to be that big of a deal. But if you guys have any suggestions on what I could do to improve that setup, let me know in the comments section below. If you guys have any other ideas of bosses that you want to do, but you're not really sure what gear you would choose because of the limitations you have, put that in the comments as well. But I have been Fish Food, and before you clock out, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and even hit that bell icon if you want a little bit of overtime. But for now, I'm Fish Food, signing off, and I will see you all next time.